So now that I have the tenons cut on these spokes for these 10-foot logging wheels, the next step is to put the outside wood perimeter, which you all know is called a felloe or a felloe. Both terms are used interchangeably. These are 2 spokes for each section, and it's going to be a little more of a challenge than a common wagon wheel, and let me show you why. Well, a normal buggy or wagon wheel, all the spokes would come out at the same angle, so all these tenons would be in a line relatively close. But on this wheel, the top spokes are a little extra high, the bottom spokes are a little low, so you end up with this stair step or a kind of a wavy pattern, high, low, high, low, high, low, which is going to create a little bit of a problem. As I lay some felloe sections on here, you can see that no matter which 2 I choose, it's either going to go low to high or high to low, depending on where I set them. So we're going to end up with our felloe sections all at an angle when they only sit between 2 spokes. If these felloe sections spanned 3 spokes, they would kind of balance each other out. But then you end up with a longer piece of wood and you have more cross grain. Your felloe section becomes much weaker. So the strongest is when it only spans 2 spokes. So that's why I tried to bring all these spokes into their correct position when I cut these tenons, so that they'll be at the right angle and distance and depth and all that when the felloes are actually installed. Now if I try to put these on when I have this high spoke pulled down, chances are it's going to knock my clamp off, but I'm intending to put them on in alternating sections and then fill in the spaces just like I would a normal wagon wheel. So I'm anticipating that when I put them on and I have this kind of a wave effect, if I put them on in sections of 3, I should be able to clamp the 2 joints in the middle and bring these down into a flat plane just like when the tire is going to be set, and then do my final cut and square all these joints up. We'll see if reality actually matches my theory. So once I have my holes drilled for the spokes are going to sit in here just about like so. Kind of centered up on that hole. So on either side of this spoke there should be a bolt that reinforces this joint. Well, this is about 3.5 inches across. So I'm going to come out from the center of this spoke hole about 4 inches. I'm going to come out a couple inches on either side. And that's where I'm going to stick my bolts through. And I'm going to pre-drill those probably partially right now. Kind of use my angle of my pattern. Show me where the center of the hole should be. And 4 inches deep, so if I came in at 2 inches, that should be the location. And on a regular wagon bolt, these would be rim rivets. In this case, they're going to be rim bolts. So I can drill about 3 inches, get about halfway, but if I start this in the drill press, it'll make sure that that hole is square, and then I can go ahead and finish it by hand, and I'll have my straight hole already started. So this is how we're sitting now with our first 3 felloe sections on. So as I walk around, you can see that the shoulders of the spokes, where the tenons are, where they hit the felloes, are actually fitting really pretty well. The angle that I have on my tenon cutter stand is pretty accurate. So my initial thoughts, as I mentioned earlier on, that I would put 3 sections together and I'd be able to cut these joints and then go on from there. Well, this section on either side is still headed a bit downhill from a high spoke to a low spoke. It's not bad, but this next one is going to be the same. So I'm going to actually put a 4th one on, which will allow these 3 to line up, that will make this joint straight where it needs to be. And then I'll do my finish cut there. And similar on the other end, I'll put the next felloe section on, which will put these in line, then I'll be able to make that joint to where it is straight. But right now, I'm kind of getting overbalanced on this side. Each of these felloe sections weigh 20 pounds apiece, so I've added 60 pounds to this side of the wheel, and it's making this wheel kind of drop to this side. So before I do the other felloe sections on the end, which will give me 5, I want to put the same 3 on the other side so that I can balance this wheel out and keep it pretty steady on this stand. We're adding up to enough weight that I have to account for this. My clamp is just hitting my stand here. That should get me some room to put some counterbalance with my next 3 sections on that side. Well, now that I have 3 on both sides, we're much better balanced now. So now I just need to kind of fill in 1 on each side, and I'll do opposite sides, bring it together to where we should have 2 opposites to be our final 11, 12 felloe sections. So we've got 6, I've got 6 left to go. One thing I am finding, I can take my pattern that I made these felloe sections with and double check my spoke lengths to make sure they all stay in to round. And this is going to be my next pair of spokes. I'll put a section on, and you can see it's going to set this out just a little bit on this felloe joint. My next felloe section is going to come just about 1/8 of an inch out. So if I were to shorten this one up about that 1/8 of an inch, I could bring this up more into a correct position. So I'll run this spoke over to my tenon cutter and just bring this back 1/8 of an inch, line up this joint. And as I work my way around, most of them are pretty decent. Yeah, see, this one's going to be just right on. I'm not going to have to adjust this one at all. That's just right where it needs to be. That one looks like it's right on. So these are just the small things that I'm double checking as I go. I can use my pattern to double check my spoke length so that my joints on the felloe sections line up. So just a little fine tuning as we go. Now with this fourth felly on, see, I can lift this end up, which I suspected it would be a little bit low. If I pick it up, then this third felly of my 3 should be closer to being correct position in line. So now this joint should be a little truer. These should all be in plane. I can go ahead and flush cut my joint here. Remember, I used my Sawzall before, and I should be able to square this up. That's gonna work. So it looks like I'm just gonna have to stay one joint back to make sure these all are on a flat plane. So this is pretty true to form with most wheels, you know, even though they seem to be somewhat repetitive. Every set of wheels has their own personality, and this pair of wheels has its own personality as well. It's kind of new to me on this configuration. Basic principles are the same. We're going to make it work. Yeah, we'll kind of get this thing figured out yet, huh? So I'll keep picking away at this. I got 2 more to go here, still got our 3 there. But I think you kind of get the feel of it as well as I do of how it's going to go. It's going to work. You know, eventually we're going to turn this big old spider into a wheel. Appreciate you following along. Thanks for watching.